this wall is gone, and they've got the camera way back here taking it all in, right? And if they want to get a high angle shot, you got to have big, huge, high ceilings to be able to get up there. You got to have lights, right? They didn't have lights on stands down here, 6 feet off the ground. Their lights were on a grid over their head, which provided that specific Star Trek style lighting that we all recognize when we see it. Very dramatic. It was called high key. If anyone's ever done any lighting in here, you may have heard the term key light. The key light is the main light that hits your face. So if I was lighting this lady here, there would be in Star Trek terms, there would be a high light up here that would be the key. And it would strike just off center her face. And then there would be a fill light, which would provide just a little bit of light to this side of her face. Unless, of course, you wanted drama. And then you would turn that off, right? Create this, cool shadow. And then there would be a rim light behind her that would highlight her hair and her shoulders, and it would separate her from the background. So she didn't look like she was just flat against the wall. In order to accomplish that kind of lighting, you have to have a grid of lights. And so you have to have a high ceiling. This building had it, and while we're talking about high ceilings, check out this thing over your head. Now, we decided when we were going to build this set that we had to have a ceiling, because the ceiling in engineering was so cool. Those arches and stuff. Well, so at the time, we thought, well, I guess we'll just build it like we build everything else. We'll go to Lowe's, buy a bunch of Luan sheets and frame it and build it. Can you imagine how much that would weigh if it was built of wood? We started to try to build it out of wood, and I emphasize try. It was so heavy, one section. We couldn't even, like 5 guys couldn't hardly pick it up, much less anchor it to the ceiling 30 feet over your head. Right around the time we were thinking about it, or trying to figure out what to do about it, we discovered that there was a guy right up the highway in Jacksonville who cuts. He has a machine, a CNC computer-controlled machine that cuts foam. And you can send him a CAD file of anything you can think of, and he can cut it from foam. He made this ceiling, and you and I, my friend, could pick this ceiling up and move it around. It's foam. It weighs virtually nothing, but it's exact, because whatever you draw, whatever file you draw, he cuts. So it's not like you had to try to do the best you could to make it look kind of like it. No, it's exactly what it should have been. And as soon as we realized what this could give us the opportunity to do, we started using this guy for all kinds of stuff. This lid, see these lids? These domes? You'd think that'd be pretty easy to find, right? Not when you're actually looking for it, and not when it has to be a certain dimension. So he cut these for us. You see that thing? What is that? I don't know. Nobody knows. It looks like a snake head. It looks like the War of the Worlds Martian head thing on top of the ship, right? Whatever it is, you could try to make it out of what? Wood? Clay? Like, what would you make it out of? We drew it up in a CAD program and sent it to this guy, and he cut it out of foam. And then I made the little frame around it. And it's, again, the more we start thinking about it, we're like, you could do anything with this. All of these things, and you're going to see them everywhere on the ship. See all these things on the wall? What are they? Nobody knows. But this is the beauty of it. Nobody cares, because it's just background for the story. You'll see something in it. If you go watch, by the way, you're never going to watch Star Trek the same again. Because from now on, you're going to be like, dang, I stood right there. I know exactly where they are. Because this soundstage is laid out exactly like the original. All the rooms were connected to the original corridor. It's exact. So you watch the show, you're like, oh, dang, that's the intersection right down by the Jeffries tube. I know exactly where they are. So you're going to see these things that we just simply call plant-ons because they're planted on the wall. Back then, you know what they were? They were styrofoam packing for like typewriters and mimeograph machines, right? It didn't matter what they were. They just needed to break up the flat gray wall. Put stuff on it to make it look like it's some kind of a functioning vessel of some sort. Many things in this set are not what you think they are, and that's kind of the fun of movie making, because it just needs to look like something. It doesn't need to be anything. There's a fun story of the stage crew on the original series of Star Trek getting really mad at Shatner. You know why? Because he would take these balls out and play with them. He would kick them around engineering, and they were all mad. These are, look, we bought these at Walmart. They're fun little kid balls, and then you paint them. They get dull after a while, but that's what they were in the original series as well. So our phone guy, you could never find something exactly shaped like this anymore, could you? Whatever typewriter this packed doesn't exist anymore. So you could try to approximate it, right? You could get screen captures and try to make it as close as you could. But when we found this phone guy, we're like, oh, thank you, God. It was like, you know, it was like anything you can draw in a program, he cuts. These are exact. See all those things up there? They're exact. And when you go back and watch the original series, you'll see those are exactly what was on in engineering. Another fun thing is these. We hired a guy in town to build these. They're actually functioning, right? So you can have people doing stuff up here, all nice solid. And to give you an idea of how anal our set people were, Will Smith, who drew up the floor plans to this set. Come on in, you guys. Anybody? Okay, we got everybody in here? He drew up the floor plans. And he drew up these steps for this metal welding guy to build here in town. So he built them, and he brought them by, and we put them up, and we stepped back, and Will Smith looked at him and went, they're not right. And he went back and looked at his plans. The guy hadn't rounded these corners. The first step was too high off the ground. There was something about few little things. Now, when you pay somebody to make you a custom thing that is it needs to be exactly what you do because you're replicating something, close isn't good enough, right? So we called the welding guy, and he made a second set. And this is the second set. And he never spoke to us again. Because he was pretty upset about that. But they're super cool. I have to tell you about these too. You're going to see this hexagonal mesh all throughout the ship. Now, this is especially exciting for us because this is exactly what they had in the original series. I'm not talking about it's an approximation. I'm not talking about, oh look, we found something that looks kind of like it. No. This is exactly what they used. And I'll tell you how we know that. You know what this is? It's first of all, it's steel. It's very heavy. Each one of these things is like 150 pounds. If you get up close, and I'm going to stop talking in about 1 minute, you guys can walk around, take some pictures if you like, and then we'll continue. This was used for large concrete pours. So if you were building a building, or building some huge, 6 foot in diameter metal cement pillars, you'd need structural support, right, for all that cement. That's what this is for. But in the late 60s, they're just looking for stuff that already exists to put on the set. Because the money wouldn't allow them to make a bunch of stuff. That would be completely cost prohibitive. So instead of making stuff, you try to find things that you can repurpose. There's a shot of Chekhov in one episode. Remember the episode, the 3rd season, when called Day of the Dove, when the Klingons came on board, they were fighting swords and stuff. There was that alien entity that was causing them to fight because it drew energy from the fighting. there's a scene, remember the scene where Chekhov grabs the Klingon leader's wife? Chekhov is hiding behind a little alcove in the corridor, which you will see momentarily. And this is on the alcove. And it's a close-up picture. And you can even see the little tabs inside here of the hex mesh. And they used it everywhere. Look, there's another sheet of it. And you'll see it all over the place. Because as soon as they found something they thought was cool, they thought, you know what? Uniformity, right? Use the same paint schemes. Use this. You'll see a lot of similar things throughout the ship, which would make sense. It seems to, it kind of makes it all, you know, come together. Any questions about engineering? We had made, let's see, when did engineering, our 6th episode. Star Trek Continues, the 6th episode. We raised money to make more episodes, and our stretch goal was if we raised more than we needed for the episodes, we would build engineering. So this set premiered on episode 6, which was the one with Usti, the creature whose dad was after him. Broke through the hull of the ship. I have to tell you one more fun fact, because it'll come into play later. This is Scotty's little alcove here, right? Scotty's, this is kind of Scotty's control panel. But before we had an engineering, down at the other end where engineering would have been, we had just a little bit of space, and we built the alcove. But there was no more. So what we would do is we would shoot this as from the other end, walking in from the corridor and coming in, you see the alcove. And then when you would switch this way, we would green screen, because there was no engineering. But when we moved it down here, we were able to build the alcove and engineering here. Any questions?
What are the... Oh, you go first. You had your question first.
Those doors open? Those doors open?
Can they open?
Yeah.
No.
Okay.
We didn't need them to.
Okay.
And this is something that you're going to hear me say many, many times, you guys. There's a difference between a museum and a sound stage. A sound stage is for shooting a show. And all you build is what you need. You don't spend time, you don't waste money and time building something you don't need. Now, if we had, here's what would have happened. If we had an episode where somebody needed to go through that door, we'd tell our stage crew, go make that door function. And he would. But if you don't have that in the story, why would you waste valuable time making it do something that you're never going to need on camera? Right? Yes?
I was wondering about the switches, the red ones that look like they're for the transporter.
They do. They look like the big sliders on the transporter.
Yeah,
right?
what are they used for, or what did you use to make those?
Well, these are cut out of wood. You can, like I said, you guys can go around. Did you want to go through it and let them loose to walk around?
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah. Once we get all the way through, you can come back through any set you want, take as many pictures you want, close-ups, whatever. These didn't do anything, but they look cool, which is the definition of a TV set. Very few things actually do anything, but they look great. And the cool thing is, you can sit here and do this kind of stuff, and if the story's good, you're watching the actor. You're not sitting there going, he's not actually pushing that button. I saw that didn't move. That's not doing anything. No, because if I just walk over here and go, shirk here, and the sound guy puts a little click sound effect right there, you just think I pushed a button. If the story's decent, right? Because what we're getting, another recurring theme you're going to see, guys, throughout the sets is the illusion the story is the important thing. That's what I was going to say. People talk about how accurate the sets are. The sets are accurate so that you can forget them. Some people, they spend years trying to build a set. And then they're going to shoot something, and the story's not great, the acting's not great. So who really cares how cool the set is, right? Because for the first 30 seconds, the screen comes up, like you go to your laptop, right? Ooh, what's this? This fan thing. And you click on it, comes up. As soon as the image comes up, you're like, dang, that bridge looks cool. For about 20 seconds, right? And then you're like, okay, now tell me a good story. And if the story's bad and the acting's lame, It doesn't matter how accurate the bridge looked. So the reason we tried to make it as close to the original as possible is so that you could accept, your mind could accept, I'm on the Enterprise. Like, damn, I am there. Now tell me a story. It's all about story. And that's why even in the original series, there were so many continuity problems, it wasn't even funny. But they were telling a story. If the director said, I'm going to take a shot, I'm going to close up this guy right here, and all the fans know that that thing is on the wall behind him, right? You've seen it in lots of episodes. And the director's setting up this shot and goes, you know what, I hate that thing. Go get that one and put it there. They would literally just paint the shot the way they wanted it. They didn't care about, well, you can't move that, it's not supposed to be there. No, that's nerd stuff. That's not making a TV show. Making a TV show, they would put whatever they want, they move stuff around just to make the picture look cool. Question? Did you have one?
No, you already answered it.
Okay, let's move on. And as soon as we're done, you can come back and see anything you like, okay?